Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and we welcome you to the very first Mike Houston radio show of the season, and as we operate live from Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley, and we are excited to be here for the entire season, and we have a lot to get to. We'd like to have your participation if you'd like to be involved with us here this evening. Our local phone number, if you'd like to talk to the coach, is 571-1178, 571-1178. So we're excited to have you along with us tonight. We have a great crowd on hand here at Kickin' Chicken. We have a nice radio audience with us. There are all kinds of different things going on with regards to this particular broadcast. Coach Houston is here. We're ready to get started, and the season's underway. Coach, first time, however, for us, and so this will be fun for us to really kind of get down in some real solid detail here this evening.
Yeah, just excited to be here and excited to have Kickin' Chicken sponsoring the show and, just finally playing some football. Yeah,
it's a long, hard camp. A lot of the guys talked to me about how hard camp was, hard in a good way, because they knew it had to be tough because you were preparing for the beginning of the season, which featured a very tough opponent.
Right. Yeah, Coastal Carolina, number 6 ranked team in the nation coming in. We knew that we had our hands full in that one, and that along with just still trying to kind of establish our mindset with the roster. It was a very, very physical camp, and it has continued on into the first couple of weeks of the season. So, faced a tough opponent last Saturday night in Coastal Carolina, and what a great quarterback in Alex Ross.
Yeah, let's get into that one just a little bit, because this is a young man who, they operate out of the shotgun.
Right.
He has an opportunity to take a look at everything, surveys things very well. He seemed to be very composed back there. A guy for a junior, obviously he was really good as a sophomore, but lots of poise for a guy who I would consider a young quarterback.
Sure, and he, last year he handled himself very, very well as a first-year starter, and making a run all the way to the quarterfinals. Beating Montana at Montana, and then going to play at North Dakota State in the national quarterfinals. A lot of experience gained in those settings. The one thing that stuck out to us from last year was that he never panicked in the pocket, and for the most part made very, very good decisions with the football.
He was solid. Obviously had a very good ball game. They were able to put up 263 passing yards in the ball game. Your club, on the other hand, I was looking at a couple of things that had to do with your statistics, Coach, and 358 rushing yards is a pretty nice little total to have for yourself.
Yeah, pretty pleased with the offensive output. Our offensive line, a little bit of an unknown going into the game with their lack of experience. Really one kid that played significant snaps last year. Just didn't know quite what to expect. But as the game went on, I felt like that they gained more and more confidence, and especially in the second half, played really, really well. Very physical at the point of attack. Very few busts. Execution fairly good, and which allowed us to run the football effectively, and really never. We were never stopped. We stopped ourselves a couple of times with some penalties or getting off schedule with a down and distance, but we're able to move the ball fairly effectively all day.
Let's walk through the first 6:32 of the football game. That's when they jump up 14-0 on you there. After that, it somewhat felt like a pretty even type of a football game there. But that was a tough piece of the football game. So let's start about how that all got started.
Well, we decided to defer when we won the toss, and felt like with the first game and possibly some jitters there to put them on offense first, and had 3 different opportunities on 3rd down in that first series to get off the field. And had breakdowns on 3 different occasions from various kids, and Alex Ross took advantage of that. 3 big conversions there, and able to get the score and the touchdown out of the gate. We come out and end up having to punt and have a poor snap, and giving them the ball on the 15-yard line. So not the most ideal start in the world, digging ourselves a hole 14-0 out of the gate. But I was really proud of the kids and the way they responded, because they were obviously some jitters there at the beginning from some guys playing in their first college football game. But after that, they responded really well and were able to hold the rest of the half. The frustrating thing is us not getting in the end zone with two great scoring opportunities there in the first half.
You, definitely could have been in a circumstance that would have gotten you in a lot better shape as far as that goes, and we want to delve a little bit more into what went down in that Coastal Carolina game in just a little bit from right now. We'll take our first break of the program, however, and come back in just a couple of moments. We're at Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley for the Mike Houston Show, and you can call in at 571-1178. That's 571-1178. We'll be here until the top of the hour. Lots of things to do here. We've got Florida State to talk about. Yep, that's the next opponent for the Citadel, as they will take on the defending BCS champions coming up on Saturday night down in Tallahassee. More with the coach when we come back in just a few moments on Sports Radio 1450.
Where can you find a stylish twist on a classic design, accented with plush roll arms and antique trim? There's only one place, Ashley Furniture Home Store. Introducing our new Hindle Park collection. Making fabulous affordable has never been so easy. In fact, you could call it a walk in the park. Discover our new Hindle Park collection. It's part of our vintage casual lifestyle. Handcrafted elements that only look expensive at Ashley Furniture Home.
Matt and Phil, Coke brand team, blind taste test, Exhibit A. Which one is that? Coke. Ow! What? What are you doing? You told me to hit you if you got it wrong. You got it wrong.
That's a hit. That's what you did.
I did not! Ow!
Romantic comedy or action?
I don't do or. Or makes you choose. I want romaction. Cyborg meets his baby mama. Who wants or? I'm done with or. Hit me! Or! Huh! Yeah! What is it good for? Absolutely
Coke Zero.
nothing.
Real Coke taste and zero calories.
Since 2002, the lottery has helped award more than 1 million scholarships. So when you play, you're not just taking a chance. You're also giving one.
As it is game week for the Citadel, as they will take on the defending national champion Florida State Seminoles coming up on Saturday. A daunting task, of course. More about that coming up in just a little bit from right now. Some statistical things about the game. You'll find as you go along this year, Coach, that statistics are something that I pay a decent amount of attention to. I might even fall into nerd category, depends. But Tyler Renew, 137 yards in the game the other day. You know how many he had in all of last year?
Probably just about that amount, maybe 20 yards more.
It was 132.
Okay.
So he has eclipsed last season with one solid effort during that day. And it seemed like, obviously that's the first option in the triple option.
Right.
It was working. He was ticking off 5.5 yards, it seems, at times every time he touched the ball.
It's going to change from week to week depending on what style of defense we're facing. Teams are going to elect to take away certain options. That's the great thing about the triple options. We feel like it's fairly hard to defend all three phases. But Tyler, in his first college start, just a sophomore, still a very, very young player. Could not be more pleased with his effort and production. I told him the two big things that stood out to me were not the yardage rushing, but his ball security and the physicality that he ran with. And because if he'll do those two things, the other stuff will take care of itself. Because the other stuff, really a lot of that's not up to him to decide. It's more of, what defense we're facing and how well we can block it. But just very, very pleased with his performance last Saturday, and I expect him to be a solid player for us for the next 3 years.
Also had a good day. Jake Stinson, 120 yards for him out of the backfield.
A young man there that's a fifth-year senior, came to the Citadel as a walk-on, earned a scholarship. I think probably had some questions about if he wanted to continue playing after the change in staff. Never really expressed that to us, but just had a little bit of a gut feeling with the newness of everything. And he has just been so solid. And another kid that showed tremendous toughness on Saturday was battling a little bit of a very minor injury early in the ball game, and stayed in there, kept battling. Very good blocker at the point of attack, and just really excited for him to be able to have a day like that.
Also, defensive side of things, and you brought Tyler Renew and Tevin Floyd to your media luncheon yesterday. Floyd, 12 stops, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a sack, so a big game for him.
Right. Yeah, very, very talented young man, just a sophomore, only 19 years old, just turned 19, so one of the younger players, even though he's a sophomore, one of the younger players on our roster. But he tested really, really well in the winter, and we were excited about him, going in spring practice, and just really had not really a disappointing, but just didn't really stand out in the spring. And so we wondered, what impact he would have on the field this fall. But about halfway through camp, our first big scrimmage, he really jumped into the limelight there defensively, and has really improved since about the middle of the preseason on. And what we saw from him on Saturday nights, exactly what we've been seeing from him in practice. A very intelligent young man, very physical player, great speed, and just a genuinely good person too. But we're very, very fortunate to have him, just like Tyler, for 3 years.
When the old adage is, you go back and look at the film and you might see something a little bit different than what you saw while you were standing there on the sidelines. So what were the impressions you had after watching the game another time, this time on tape, versus what you saw on the sidelines?
Well, just that most of the things that happened in a negative light for us could have easily been prevented Saturday, which gives you hope. It's not like we were extremely outmatched physically. Most of the big mistakes came from kids playing in their first ball game, like I said before, and just so many opportunities we had where if we don't make those mistakes, we really feel like it could have been not only a very competitive game, but a game that we could have won. The other thing that stands out just is how well our offensive line played Saturday. And I know I keep hitting on that, but that was really a big question for us going into the season. Now the challenge for them is to go out and do it again and start to build some momentum and build some confidence as the season wears on, because we have a 12-game schedule. If we play well enough, we get to play beyond that. It's a long season, and we've played one game, so we want to build on the positive things, eliminate the mistakes, and make progress moving forward.
Talk to me a little bit about the offensive lineman, because quite frankly, a guy in my perch, seat, whatever you want to call it, there's so much going on that it's easy to overlook those guys.
Right.
It's easy to find, miss the shuffling in and out. Now, there isn't really supposed to be a lot of shuffling in and out. So how did that go on Saturday?
We had 5 kids that took every snap.
Every single, and I did not know that.
Not one bit of shuffling on the offensive front,
wow.
Which first shows the level of conditioning that those kids have, which comes from the way they prepared during the summer and during preseason camp. And that's going to be the trademark of our football team. Is just we're going to be a tough, hard-nosed, well-conditioned football team. So that was the first thing. Harrison Davis got his first start at center on Saturday. At the guard, Sam Fry, who played a lot last year, and Kyle Weaver getting his first college start. Playing in there. Victor Hill got the start at tackle. I believe his first college start as well. And then Isaiah Pinson, redshirt freshman, with his first college snap played. So a group that was very young, we felt like played very, very well.
That's an amazing feat, because when you consider the number of snaps you want to have in an offensive set like yourselves. I mean, that's in your game the other day. You had 73 snaps, so that's significant from the conditioning standpoint. So I'm glad I asked that question, because I was not aware that those guys were out there for every single snap. That is quite a feat, and it's not like you block in a box. You got to get out of that box too.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see our guys blocking 15, 20 yards downfield. If you come watch our practice, we have cover cones for our offensive linemen, where after the initial point of contact, they have to block downfield 15 or 20 yards on every single play in practice to simulate downfield blocking on the secondary backside pursuit, because those are the things that eventually will lead to 5-yard plays turning into 20-yard plays, and 20-yard plays turning into 40-yard plays, and so on and so forth.
That is where things stand after the Coastal Carolina game. Again, coming up, it's going to be Florida State. The Citadel will move on to Tallahassee on Saturday, and for the first time ever, they will play an FBS #1 school. First time ever against a defending champ. It is not the first time they will have faced a defending Heisman Trophy winner. We'll talk about that as we go along. Remember our phone number if you'd like to be involved in the program tonight, 571-1178. That's 571-1178, and we would love to have you as part of our program here tonight. We're at the Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley. This is the Mike Houston Show, and we'll return in just a couple of moments on Sports Radio 1450.
Store.
Matt and Phil, Coke brand team, blind taste test, Exhibit A. Which one is that?
Coke.
Ow! What?
What are you doing?
You told me to hit you if you got it wrong. You got it wrong.
That's a hit. That's what you did.
I did not! Ow!
Da, 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 da.
Enjoy everything. Enjoy everything. Enjoy everything.
This is the Mike Houston Show, first show of the season as we broadcast live here in West Ashley, and we're excited about that. Have a lot going forward. Looking forward to being here next week, too. We'll talk about the Florida State ball game and a lot of other different things. Throughout this show, though, Coach, I might ask off-the-wall, different kinds of questions from time to time. So please bear with me. One thing I did want to ask about were our coaching questions, and one of them has to do with your influences throughout the course of your coaching career. Tell me who influenced you and who you look up to, read about, things like that.
Well, strange, but probably my first major influence in the coaching profession was a high school basketball coach.
Okay.
Richie Sizemore was a legendary basketball coach in the state of North Carolina, and I worked for him with my first head football coaching job at T.C. Robertson, and I was there with him. He had a great run with the basketball program there, and just a lot about philosophy of coaching. Doing things to build winning programs. Not doing things to win games, but to win championships. And because sometimes you can take a shortcut to win a game that may undermine what you're trying to build within a program, especially when dealing with kids. So learned a tremendous amount from him. And then probably next is Fred Goldsmith, former head coach at Duke University and Rice University. Defense coordinator at many different places, and twice the National Coach of the Year. And he was the one that kind of got me into college coaching, and I worked for him as a defense coordinator for several seasons before taking over as the head coach at Lenore-Ryan University. And so just learned a tremendous amount about dealing with kids, dealing with parents, recruiting, building a program, staff, philosophy, and just really everything running a college football program.
Gotcha. One other thing that was of interest in that regard to me is how much time, you hear all ends of the spectrum with regards to this, but how long are coaches in the office, and how little time do they spend, away from the office and things like that? Sometimes you get, fish stories where those things go. So where does it fall with your staff, and do you keep an eye on that and try to make sure your guys get out of there once in a while?
You're looking at, depending on the week and whether you're home or away, it's 70 to 80 hours a week. So it's a pretty significant chunk. We try to, we have a lot of, our staff is fairly young. We have a lot of young families in our coaching staff, and so we try anytime we can to make time so that you can actually see your kids. We'll start maybe earlier in the morning than some staffs do, so that hopefully you can see your kids a couple of nights a week before they go to bed. We always take Sunday morning off, and that's maybe not non-traditional, but we want to allow time for families to go to church. We do meet at 12:30, so you don't have time for lunch, but you can at least have time to go to church with your family there on Sunday morning, and just as much as we can, we try to make it a family environment. My wife and two boys will come by the office when they can. You'll see some other coaches' kids around the office. Everybody understands it's a working environment, and you have to protect that working environment. But at the same time, those families are the most important things in our lives to us. So we try to keep that family feel around the office.
That's where I met your wife and kids, was at your office, and they're here tonight, right?
Yeah, they're here. They're cooped up right now, so they haven't gotten out yet, but it's only a matter of time.
I had mentioned earlier, Megan Watson is the marketing person here at Kickin' Chicken. I mentioned to her that your boys were coming and that they might go there this way and that way and all that kind of stuff. So maybe in time.
As soon as Mom cuts them loose, she's got a booth over there. She's got them blocked in, but the little one at least will start crawling under the table to try to find a way out before long. We'll probably end up at Vito's table over there in the corner.
We are in an age of social media as well,
right.
And so I will mention this, and not just for this evening perhaps, but going forward. I, for example, have a Twitter account. I know you have one as well.
Right.
If by some stretch fans want to send a question or whatever that we could use on this show, or just in general, my Twitter account is Mike Legg Tweets, MikeLegg Tweets. And yours, Coach, what was yours again?
At Citadel_Coach.
Okay, at Citadel_Coach. You can send those off. Some coaches use that medium for different things. Do you have a philosophy about that?
I'm not the most social media savvy person in the world, but with recruiting anymore, we try to use social media any way we can to communicate with high school kids. So that's the primary reason for having the Twitter or Facebook or whatever it is just be able to build relationships with those kids, be able to get information out, be able to communicate about things going on within the program. I will admit that I'm not a, you're not going to see 1,000 tweets from me or anything like that. So
you might be the retweet guy, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. JP Gunner and Blake Harrell, those two guys on my staff are, their fingers never stop. So usually I'll retweet something they put out.
So definitely, if you want to send a note to Coach or myself, now you have the opportunity to do that. You can send something that you'd like for us to talk about here on the show. Of course, you can call us as well. It's 571-1178, 571-1178. Those are our numbers. Lots to do in this particular program. So let's broach on the topic of Florida State, because that is on the immediate horizon. Well, I'll back that up just a bit. After your ball game Saturday night, game's over, guys leave the football stadium. You got back together, as you were mentioning, at 12:30 or so on Sunday. Tell me what you do and when you start getting into the next opponent and leave the previous one behind.
Well, I always have a copy of the stats when I leave the office, and actually Saturday night I sat down with the stats and watched the second half of Oklahoma State and Florida State. They were playing the late game, so I was able to catch the second half of that, and Owen and Reed sat in my lap and watched the bulk of it. So, but got at least a glimpse of them then, but really got into it heavy on Sunday night or Sunday evening. We had prepared this summer. We spent about a week on Florida State this summer. Broke down their entire 2013 season, and then had the Oklahoma State game on Sunday. So as soon as we finished with grading our film early Sunday afternoon, and then watching it with our kids, we got into Florida State before our Sunday night practice, and already had everything put together for that. But and then all day Monday, you spend all day Monday, going through what they did against Oklahoma State versus what they did last year, looking, are the tendencies holding true? Are you seeing the same patterns that they had a year ago? And just looking at their personnel now with graduation and guys leaving from the NFL, what they have coming back. And so by Monday evening, you have a real good feel for the opponent you're going to face the upcoming week.
And then on Tuesday, you get back onto the field with the guys, take them back out there for the afternoon practices, and then I just noticed from being out there yesterday, as far as your the way you conducted your practice yesterday, I saw a lot of hitting. The guys probably didn't get a lot of, not much contact at all since the game. They heal up a bit, get into the training room, and now I think I could see a little bit of what I thought, well, they're letting them hit because it's going to be a physical football game coming up this week, and you definitely did a little bit of hitting yesterday in practice.
Well, Sunday night's a helmets practice, a lot of special teams work. Tuesday and Wednesday consistently throughout this year are going to be our heavy work days. You've got to try to simulate as close to a full speed look for your offense and defense as you can, and it's a contact game, especially running the style of offense that we run. And playing defense the way we want to play it, there's going to be contact. We always try to protect our kids and keep them safe. So learning how to practice at that speed and with that kind of physicality while staying up off the ground, is the goal. Here early in the season, we're still trying to establish our identity. So most people watching our practices would say that they are more physical than what most have across the country.
So the workout day, you got one tomorrow, back off just a little bit as it would work out, and then travel day on Friday, and then walk through. It's going to be that'll be an eye opener for the guys. Yeah. It's a great big place. 82,000 folks get in there.
We should get to Doak Campbell Stadium about 6 o'clock Friday evening for the walkthrough there. And I wanted to make sure that. Number one, our kids had a chance to be on that field in that large venue before game day, and then second, our coaching staff. First time we've been to Florida State. Figuring out where the boxes are, testing out headsets, making sure everything is functioning correctly, and getting a feel for what our working environment will be on Saturday night.
I was reading a little bit about it out of curiosity for what my job holds. And when I read 9th floor of the press box, I thought, most don't have 9 floors.
Right.
I mean, so 9 floors, you got to be kidding me. It's up there a little bit of a distance from the field. So I want to get into them with just a little bit more coming up in just a few minutes. But what, give me some general impressions of what you saw when you looked at Florida State in the Oklahoma State game. It was a tight ball game till about 4 minutes to go.
Well, the first thing that stands out is 5 senior offensive linemen, 4 of which or some type of All-American, will be drafted next year, maybe even all 5. Returning Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback in Jameis Winston, and then just surrounded by tremendous skill and speed on offense. So, that side of the football, just, the most talented football team that we have ever faced. Flip over on the defensive side, and you see the same thing. Big, fast, very athletic, returning a ton of experience from last year. Take a look at their special teams. They have the Lou Groza Award winner, best kicker in the country. So it's just the most complete football team that we have ever faced. And it's not many times you have the opportunity to face the reigning FBS national champion, reigning Heisman Trophy Award winner, and they're the odds-on favorite to repeat again this year, coming into the game ranked number 1 in the country. So it's a special opportunity for our coaches and players, and an opportunity to play in just an incredible environment.
Now, I did mention before one of the breaks that it is the first time that the Bulldogs have played an FBS number 1 and the first time they've faced a defending champion. It's not the first time they've been up against someone who won the Heisman Trophy the season before in 2008. They played Florida, and so Tim Tebow was on the other side of the coin there. So he would have created a different kind of an issue there, a little different kind of quarterback than the one you'll face on Saturday for sure. Right,
and even though Winston does not run, as much as Tebow did, he sure had an impressive touchdown run there in the second half of the Oklahoma State game, and I know there's some people questioning, why was that game closer than maybe some anticipated? But looking at the film, the one thing that we saw was, Oklahoma State is younger, but they have such tremendous speed on both sides of the football. And I really thought they got after Florida State there in the game the other night and played really, really well. So we'll see as the season wears on. Is it that Oklahoma State's better than everybody thought they were going to be, or I don't think that Florida State is. I think they are what everybody thinks they are. I think they are one of the, if not the best team in the country.
And when you have that designation, sometimes people look for a way to say that you're not maybe as good as you probably would be before. So, but we look forward to that experience coming up this weekend, and so we will talk more about that as we go along here in the show. We got to take another time out here from Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley with the coach, Mike Houston. I'm Mike Legg. 571-1178 is our phone number. If you'd like to catch us here, you can get your question in for the coach coming up in just a little bit from right now. We'll take a break and return in just a few moments. This is Sports Radio 1450. All right.
Romantic comedy or action?
I don't do or. Or makes you choose. I want romaction. Cyborg meets his baby mama. Who wants or? I'm done with or. Hit me! Or!
Huh. Yeah! What is it good for? Absolutely
Coke Zero.
nothing.
Real Coke taste and 0 calories.
Since 2002, the lottery has helped award more than 1 million scholarships. So when you play, you're not just taking a chance. You're also giving one.
Hey, I lost my debit card. Do you guys do instant replacement? What just happened?
Check your wallet.
No. No way. Your debit card should arrive in 7 to 10 business days.
It's time to bank human again. Get debit cards on the spot and deposit checks right from your phone. At TD Bank, America's most convenient
Where
bank.
can you find a stylish twist on a classic design, accented with plush roll arms and antique trim? There's only one place, Ashley Furniture Home Store. Introducing our new Hindle Park collection. Making fabulous affordable has never been so easy. In fact, you could call it a walk in the park. Discover our new Hindle Park collection. It's part of our vintage casual lifestyle. Handcrafted elements that only look expensive at Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Hey, I lost my debit card. Do you guys do instant replacement?
This is the Mike Houston Show. I'm Mike Legg. 571-1178 is our number. If you'd like to get involved with us, you can reach us on Twitter and email and all the different kinds of ways that you can. There's an endless list anymore of what you can do and how you can reach out to different people here. So we're glad to be here all season long. This is the first of 12 shows this season that we will operate from Kickin' Chicken with. And we wanted to bring Meg Watson on to talk a little bit about Kickin' Chicken. And thank you guys specifically for allowing us to be here, serving as such a great host location for us. We got a good crowd.
Yes, we are happy to welcome you. With being a local business, we've got our 5 local locations. It made the most sense to bring out the Citadel and the brand new coach Mike Houston. We're excited to have him, and we've got a fantastic crowd out here tonight.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want to speak for Mike with this next question, but I will say this, and he hasn't been here that much longer than I have either, but I'm probably the last guy anyone should ask for directions around town. It's just not going to work out all that well. But let's say I'm out and about and someone says, hey, I haven't been, we're a great place to go. Okay, you need to go to Kickin' Chicken. So what do they get? What should I tell them to get when they come here?
Oh, some of our best things. We've got chicken nuggets. Our chicken wings are always popular, especially for tailgates. And I have to mention that we do delivery and takeout. So if you're going to the Citadel game, you need to grab a platter of wings and head downtown to the game every Saturday. And also, if you're watching the games like this upcoming weekend with Florida State, we are going to have all of the Citadel games live streaming at all 5 of our locations.
Very nice.
And if you're not familiar with the locations, you can visit us on kickinchicken.com and see all of our 5 locations and come visit us.
5 locations, so that's you won't have to drive very far to reach out to those. And so we are thrilled to be here. And again, thank you for having us. I know that Coach is excited about being here. He had mentioned that the youngsters are going to be running amok in no time flat.
Oh, of course.
So that'll be fun. And so we're excited about being here. But we wanted to say thank you publicly to you and your crew for having us. We look forward to getting to know you guys better as the season goes along. And thanks for being such a great supporter for us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Very good. That's Meg Watson, and we thank her for having us here. She is she's taking some pictures and walking around and socializing with different folks, and so it's a fun environment. We're glad to be here and looking forward to continuing our program here as we go along tonight. The ball club, the Bulldogs, a 31-16 loss when they played Coastal Carolina this past weekend. They're at Florida State this coming Saturday. We're on the air at 5:30. It's a 7:30 ball game from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee, Florida. There is a member of the Bulldogs who is a Tallahassee native, and that is Tevin Floyd. You will hear some things from him this week because we did interview him yesterday during a little bit of a media luncheon, and so you'll hear a little bit from Tevin Floyd, and I think you'll find it kind of interesting that, I grew up in Tallahassee, but I'm not necessarily a Florida State fan, which I guess is good, because if you were a Florida State fan and playing against someone that you kind of always admired, it's not as good a situation as, say, a team you didn't like much, and that is kind of his situation. He didn't necessarily like the Seminoles all that much. He was a fan of the Florida Gators, and so he has no trouble at all getting excited about playing against the Seminoles when those two teams get into one another this weekend, Saturday night. Again, it's a 7:30 kickoff. 5:30 is our broadcast as we operate here on the flagship station of the Citadel Sports Network, Sports Radio 1450. Again, it's 571-1178, 571-1178. The loss to Coastal Carolina starts the season, then the Florida State ball game, which is coming up, and they will take on the Seminoles Saturday night. Then it's an idle week, and then Charleston Southern after that. And so lots to go and a very tough start to the season. 7th meeting all time between the Bulldogs and Florida State. No wins in the series, but one tie. Back in 1960, the two teams played to a scoreless tie. And so a very interesting scenario there. We're going to take our final time out, and when we come back, we'll finish up the hour with Coach. He'll jump back in with us, and we'll talk a little bit more about Bulldogs football as they take on Florida State this coming weekend. And we will continue with our coverage of that in just a couple of moments. This is the Mike Houston Show from Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley, and you're listening on Sports Radio 1450.
Can you find a stylish twist on a classic design, accented with plush roll arms and antique trim? There's only one place, Ashley Furniture Home Store. Introducing our new Hindle Park collection. Making fabulous affordable has never been so easy. In fact, you could call it a walk in the park. Discover our new Hindle Park collection. It's part of our vintage casual lifestyle. Handcrafted elements that only look expensive at Ashley Furniture Home Store.
Matt and Phil, Coke brand team, blind taste test, Exhibit A.
Romantic comedy or action?
I don't do or. Or makes you choose. I want romaction. Cyborg meets his baby mama. Who wants or? I'm done with or. Hit me!
Or, huh, yeah, what is it good for? Absolutely
Coke Zero,
nothing.
real Coke taste and 0 calories. Enjoy everything.
30 seconds or so.
Since 2002, the lottery has helped award more than 1 million scholarships. So when you play, you're not just taking a chance. You're also giving one.
Back at Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley, this is the Mike Houston Radio Show, and we welcome you back. Our number is 571-1178, 571-1178, and we're here to the top of the hour talking about the Bulldogs. Wanted to mention that Spike is in the Capital One Mascot Challenge, and he's going up against Sparty from Michigan State, so go to CapitalOneMascots.com and have an opportunity to help him along in that scenario. I mentioned before the break, Coach, that Tevin Floyd is a Tallahassee guy. Very fitting that he was at your media luncheon this week, because this is a guy who certainly has spent a lot of time in the area where you're going to be going back. So it's a homecoming for him, and he had a great game last week. But he told me when we were there that he was no fan of the Seminoles when he grew up, so this is not going to be so hard to slip into a role of not liking those guys.
Right, and ironically, he went to Florida State High School, you know, right there in Tallahassee. But, yeah, it'll be a special game for him. I know his grandmother's going to be there along with some of his relatives and a lot of friends. So he'll have a pretty nice group there to watch him play. But, you know, anytime you have an opportunity to go back and play in your hometown, especially in a game like this, just a special deal for Tevin.
So he gets to go back home. One strange question I have is, when, you see the movies, Rudy comes to mind, for example, where they didn't know until pretty late in the week or who was going to be on the roster, who was going to get to dress. When do you decide who goes to Florida State?
Well, I have our travel roster set right now. We don't post it until Thursday. So after we go on the field Thursday for practice, we post the travel roster, and then for home games is when we post the dress list. So Thursday's when they find out.
You make the guys wait a little bit then. There's a bit of a suspense to it.
Well, a lot of factors go into injuries, how somebody's coming along, young kids, how they're progressing. So just a lot of factors go in, and with Tuesday and Wednesday being big work days for us, we put a lot of stock into that practice film, and so there's 2 or 3 spots that will fluctuate weekly on the dress list and travel list.
So the team will leave on Friday, going to Tallahassee to take on Florida State, and they will face the defending champs. 571-1178 is our number, 571-1178. We will be back next week to do a show here from Kickin' Chicken, though it's an idle week for the ball club. I got to ask this one too, strange question, and again, here comes one of the oddball questions. I've had coaches who say, I hate the term idle week because you're really not.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for us. Coming off of Coastal Carolina and Florida State, it'll give us a chance to have 2 weeks to prepare for Charleston Southern. It'll give us a chance to make sure that we're healthy and fresh going into that week. And with a young roster, it'll give us a chance to really work on some fundamentals. So I think it's good timing for us coming off of the Florida State game and going into a game that will be so big for our program as the Charleston Southern game.
So that is where we stand at this point. Looking ahead at the schedule just a little bit, as Coach referred to, this week you play, then the following week you don't, and then you play a quasi-road game at Charleston Southern, not too terribly far away as far as that goes, and then before long you're jumping into the heart of the Southern Conference season. Did you see anything that stuck out at you in week 1? Other teams, how much are you able to keep up with that type of stuff?
Well, the thing that stuck out, you got UT Chattanooga, who were up 16-0 on Central Michigan, and gave up the lead late, but led most of the game. You got Western Carolina that led South Florida for 3/4 of the game. You got Wofford that played Georgia Tech, very, very close, and then Furman, getting a win over Gardner-Webb. So the thing that stands out to me is this is going to be a very, very good year for the Southern Conference as far as the playing level of the teams in the league. So anytime you have that many teams that are that competitive in FBS ball games, it says a lot for the league's talent level.
Stepping outside of the FCS this week are the Bulldogs to take on Florida State. Let's dive in a little bit with regards to their personnel. Everybody knows about Jameis Winston. I found it funny at your press conference yesterday. Someone asked if you'd heard much about their quarterback, which that's good stuff. Didn't you tell me, though, Coach, that in your film study you found Winston bigger than what he was last year?
I found him more fit. He just looks like he's trimmed up some of the body fat and moving around maybe a little bit quicker, carries himself a little bit stronger. So I would say it's just a development, due to their strength program, but just a year older and more progressed with his fitness. But that really stood out in that film.
All the things that have happened for that young man, and I think he's barely 20 years old. That is really something, and it's a lot for someone to take, I would think, mentally. I mean,
you're thrown onto that stage where you're, a year or 2 years out of high school, and you're on television nightly. I'm sure has a hard time around campus with a lot of people wanting attention, wanting a piece of him, and then just all the media attention is just, I would think if I were a parent, I would have to try to be very, very cautious with who I let get very close to him.
Yeah.
Not everybody has your best interests in mind, and so certainly he is someone that's going to attract a lot of different people. So hopefully he can make the right choices with who he aligns himself with.
One would think that with the school that you are coaching, it might not be as big an issue as it is in other places. But I know a lot of what coaches have to do is play that role of the supervisor, the advisor, whatever the case may be, how to act when you're not around the team. And again, I wouldn't think it would be as much of an emphasis there, but how much do you focus on things like that? What kind of systems do you have in place that deal with things like that?
Well, I do think the structure and discipline of the campus at the Citadel, certainly we may not have quite as many problems with stuff like that as a public institution that's not, does not have a military background. So, but at the same time, we're located in downtown Charleston. There is anything that you want to find, you can find in downtown Charleston, and so there's lots of opportunities for our guys to make positive decisions and poor decisions, whether it's in the summer or on the weekends or whatever. Our big thing with them is we always talk about your last name is the Citadel. Meaning that when they go out and they leave campus, they represent not only themselves and their families, but they represent our football program and our institution. Because as with Jameis Winston, anytime you have something happen with one of those star athletes, the first thing you're going to see in the headlines is Citadel football player, so-and-so. Florida State football player, so-and-so. So, with that, with that attention that athletes get in our society comes a great amount of responsibility and accountability for our actions.
It is a tough thing, and there are a lot of things thrown at those young men at the ages that they are operating at. But what a great time, and what a great time for them. A lot of people talk with me about the challenge that exists when you play up, if you will, a level or whatever, especially if you're playing the #1 team in the country. And to most people, it's a really scary proposition. But I say to them, do you think the coaches mention it when they're recruiting, or do you think they don't mention it when they're recruiting? And they say, well, I'd say they probably mention it.
Yeah.
Then that means that the kid really wants to play in these types of games.
Well, that's what I told the kids at the end of practice today. I said, every one of us growing up dreamed of playing in an environment like we're going to get an opportunity to play in Saturday night. All of us dreamed of playing on the biggest stage possible. And this is an opportunity for those kids to play in an environment like we talked about earlier that very few get an opportunity to play in. So it's, really a special opportunity for them. And, I told them we have no pressure on us. We're going to go down there. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to get after their rear end, and we're going to play Citadel football. And we're going to let the chips fall where they may. But we're not going to change the way we play the game or the way we approach the game. And I can promise you, our kids are going to play hard. They're going to compete. And so I'm excited for them to see what they're going to do.
I asked, I believe it was Maurice Drayton, your defensive coordinator, this last week. No, I asked Brent about it, Brent Thompson, your offensive coordinator, about who the Coastal Carolina defense had seen that might play like you were going to play against them. So I'll ask you the same thing about Florida State. Who similarly do they see that would give them an example of what they're going to see from your offense on Saturday?
Really, Georgia Tech is very similar to us. They come from the same kind of tree of the triple option offense as we do, or originating with Navy. But that being said, now it's been a couple of years since Florida State's faced Georgia Tech, so there will be kids on their roster that never faced our style of offense. Certainly there are shotgun versions of the triple option that they'll face. Clemson has that aspect in their offense. So, they have some carryover, but as far as truly the same style, Georgia Tech is the team that they will have faced in the last several years that is similar to us.
Well, wish you well when you go down there, Coach, because that is it's a tough task, but again, a task that I know your guys are looking forward to the opportunity to be out there and try to get play. Wanted to switch gears a little bit in the last 5 or so minutes we have in this program. Since you came on board in January, how many people have you met?
A lot. In fact, the bulk of the people in this room I didn't know when I got here in January. So, but I do now, and we're so fortunate at the Citadel to have some of the most enthusiastic alumni that I've seen anywhere, and just so many of them here tonight. To participate in our first coaches show, and just. I feel very blessed to have that kind of backing and that kind of interest. I coach somewhere where football's important and people care, and that's a special thing.
There have been a lot of different flash bulbs going off in the background, and I know it's not because of me. So I mean, you gotta look at it that way too. A lot of pictures being snapped. So yeah, they do seem to care a great deal about it.
Right, they do. And our goal as a staff and as a program is to build something here at the Citadel that those alumni can be proud of, that they can enjoy coming to the ball games, that they enjoy our style of play, they enjoy the way the kids compete, and we want to. Our goal is to bring a Southern Conference championship to Charleston, and it's something that's been a while since we've had one here, and we look forward to the opportunity, hopefully in the next several years to be able to compete for that championship and bring it back here home.
I know that there was a difference, and there's no point of reference. You weren't with the club last year, but the cadets are on the home side now. Right. How did that? What kind of environment was behind you on Saturday?
Well, now I'll say two things. First, I got to address the corps in the mess hall at lunch on Friday, and just I think that great enthusiasm there. It's one of the things. We have a new commandant, new athletic director in Gym Center, our new commandant, Captain Gino Peluso, and myself. We just got here, and one of the things that's our goal is to to really increase the camaraderie on campus. And what I told the cadets, the Corps cadets Friday is, we are their football team, and just like with our alumni, we want to build something that they can be proud of. And I thought it was fantastic having them right behind us, and I know that as the program builds and we get in close competitive ball games, that it'll be a pretty good atmosphere there in Johnson Haygood Stadium.
And a lot of the I talk a lot about the tough opponents that you have this year. You have two ranked opponents, at least with the way the rankings are right now, left this season after Florida State. Both of them are at home, so that's a good place to have them if you're going to pick.
Sure, no doubt. And I think we have a great environment there, and at Johnson Haygood, and it was a great environment Saturday night against Coastal. We have enthusiastic fans, great facility, and it was really pretty electric there before kickoff. So I think that any time that we have teams coming in there, we certainly have an advantage.
And that is the goal, obviously, make it that type of an advantage to where it's very difficult for them to come in there. Another different type of a question here. In the scheme, offensively, defensively, who is Saturday's game maybe more apt? The guy that might come forward in a game like this. This last game, Tyler Renew came forward because that was there for him. So are there things you see on their offense, their defense, that would make you think that this could be a big game for such and such?
Well, I hope that you see Justin Oxendine Saturday have an impactful game. I think that this is a game that he could be a factor in, with what they're doing offensively and us defensively. So, I'm hoping that he can, have a great day Saturday. And I still on offense, it's going to go back to about the same person every week. Aaron Miller, our quarterback, he's the guy that's got to run the show. And in order for Tyler to have the day that he has this past Saturday, Aaron has to do a great job of making the proper reads and proper checks at the line of scrimmage. So Aaron's going to be, he's going to be a big factor there on Saturday.
That's a guy who takes a lot of punishment in that type of an offense. You got to be pretty sturdy to play in the position he plays.
Well, just a hair under 6 foot, and right around 217 pounds. You know, he's pretty rocked up. Not a whole lot of body fat on him, and you know, he's a pretty powerful young man, and you know, certainly not shy of contact. And I've said it many times, he's probably the most competitive player in our program, which that's you know, a great trait to have in someone that I look to for leadership with our team.
So, yeah, he talked to me a little bit about guys that came out of camp that maybe were surprises for you.
Well, I think in a positive respect there at quarterback, Aaron had the kind of camp that we hoped he had had. Another kid coming back, Alex Glover. He did not play last year, and then Rudder Brown at the other receiver spot. Those two kids had great camps. You know, a lot of the running on the perimeter this past Saturday was a result of their doing a great job, whether it's cracking a linebacker or a defensive end, which you know, we're fortunate enough to have receivers big enough to do that. Or making plays downfield. So, you know, those guys, you know, had really positive preseason camps.
Coach, thanks a lot. Appreciate you being here tonight. Look forward to next week's show too.
No doubt. Thanks a lot, and thanks to all of our alums for coming out. Go Bulldogs.
That's Coach Mike Houston. I'm Mike Legg. We need to step away from Kickin' Chicken in West Ashley. This is the Mike Houston Show, and you've been listening to Sports Radio 1450.